Hello class, Dr. Jones here again. I'd like to take a few minutes and let's just talk about a few more elements of leadership and what that means to you as a leader in your organization. I'd like to spend a few minutes talking about challenges that you may be facing. From the PowerPoint that you have watched, there was a screen on challenges, and they brought up many different types of challenges, such as the political challenge, the who do you try to satisfy, and what do you do to make sure things run smooth in your organization. And sometimes that becomes political in nature. Everyone is vying to be close to the leader and doing things that they want to hear and what they might want to be told rather than exactly what they need to hear so they can make good and wise decisions. Also, you talk about influence systems in an organization, whether that be people that you know that you've worked with for a long time, or maybe that may be government regulations that are putting influence, or maybe they're cultural influences. There's a lot of things that can bring challenges to an organization that a leader must deal with. Also, there's a high level of uncertainty, not knowing exactly what's going to happen. And most of the time, change comes when we least really need it to come. And so we sit back and try to determine what's going to happen. And if you viewed the video about leadership as a privilege, we talked about vision. And vision should give you some certainty of what's going to happen in the future, along with wisdom and knowledge and skill. And all that we talked about in that video is going to help you to be successful. Also, we talked about strategic relationships, whether they be with suppliers, whether they be with customers or consumer groups, or with government officials or city officials, environmentalists, whatever you need to do. The first thing you want to do is make sure that you have got strong relationships with those individuals that's going to be a part of your business, that's going to have influence in your business, and you're going to want to make sure that you understand those relationships and the obligation that those relationships can cause you to have. So you must be very careful because that can also be a challenge. And then you need to look at the reporting structure that you have in your organization. If you're the CEO or if you're the owner, you know, who reports directly to you? How deep down in the organization do you go for individuals that report to you? Because sometimes you're going to want to have a very high level meeting with individuals that are over huge departments, and you're not going to want to get way down in the weeds of any particular situation because you have people that can take care of that for you. And also, there will be times when you want to be down there with the folks on the floor that's doing the work. You want to be out on the floor dealing with the customer because that's just the kind of leader you are. But you need to know what is the right time to do each one of those. And also, with the globalization of the marketplace, you're going to want to understand your position in the marketplace, whether you manufacture clothing or whether you provide a service. You know, where is that service, where is that product going to be finally sold at? And you want to make sure that you're not challenged by that too much that you can't be effective in your sales, in your organization, and in your profitability. And along with those challenges, there comes more leadership requirements. And we had a pretty good discussion about the leadership is a privilege video that I recorded earlier, and I hope that you watched it. But there's a very unique slide during the study guide presentation about this picture of the boss sitting on top of the business, and he has three people out front pulling. Now, he is using his authority to be a leader. And the picture right under it shows the leader in front of those folks pulling the business with his hand pointing out forward. This is where we're going to go, and this is where I'm going to lead you. So I'm not sure of your leadership style or how you might feel your leadership works best for you, but we do know that leadership is going to take a lot of energy, endurance, sensitivity, flexibility, the ability to confront issues. You're going to have to learn how to be motivational and how to be inspirational, because people want to know that you care about them before they really are going to do the work that you need for them to do. So if you'll take these few attributes on the slideshow, and then those 10 characteristics of a leader that we talked about in my video, I think you'll give a great understanding of what the leadership requirements that you will be challenged with. Now, another thing that's always going to challenge us as a leader is going to be conflict. We're never going to get away of some level and some type of conflict. And you as a leader must establish a skill as to how you deal with conflict. You're going to have conflict about work style, about personality, about individual relationships, cultural differences. The expectations aren't clear. Individuals' values are going to be different. You know, there are going to be conflicts of interest, people that want to serve this population versus this population, and you can't do both, and it's going to cause conflict. Well, my experience through the years at Walmart and other organizations I've been in, I've learned that conflict is inevitable. Conflict is going to happen. But how much of a disruption it is to your business all depends on your leadership style and ability. I have learned throughout the years that people want to do a good job. They want to be recognized. They want to feel valued. They want to know that what they do makes a difference in the organization, and they want to be recognized. And when you can take a group of workers, a team of workers, or an individual, and you can recognize them and you can show them that they are valued, your conflict that you might have in your organization is going to go down. It's going to be less, and it's going to be less intrusive because you have set up a formula for success for every individual, and you've recognized them. You've taught them if they do a good job, they will get rewarded and recognized for it. So all these different types of conflict are going to happen. They're going to come. And what we have to do is just be ready. And by being ready, you can avoid a lot of conflict that may come your way. Now, there are negative conflicts that talk about the abuse of power, and values are so different. Barriers in communication, cultural differences, especially with the globalization of the marketplace. You're dealing with so many people from different countries, and their values are different. There's a lot of those external factors that can cause negative conflict that you have to learn how to deal with. That's a part of being a leader. And part of being a leader is also to anticipate those negative elements of conflict before they get too big that you cannot manage them. Now, one ways that we can prevent conflict is always recognize it for what it is. Don't try to, as we say, sweep it under the rug and pretend it's not there. Don't walk away from it. And also don't use your positional power that we talked about earlier in trying to make it go away. You have to be willing to face conflict head on. You can use examples from your own experience. You can take risk with individuals. You can do a lot of things to prevent conflict from sprouting to begin with, and also from developing into a full-blown disruption to your organization. But those are skills and talents that you need to learn. And how do you learn those? You read books, you listen to other leaders, how they avoided conflict, you do research, and then you begin to apply these tactics that you've learned to small situations and see what the results are. And pretty soon you have built up into your leadership toolbox a pretty good set of tools to avoid conflict, to prevent conflict, and then to face conflict whenever it might come your way. A lot of times we can just agree to disagree with a conflict. We can also step back and just agree on a resolution. Maybe there's a little give and take that each person has to give. then we have to evaluate that resolution, and is it going to work for us? And if we both feel like it's going to work for us, then we need to put it into practice and move forward. But remember, one of the best methods to conflict management is to take some type of action. Just don't sweep it under the rug and allow it to lay there and grow and fester, because people will notice that you're not taking action, that you're not doing what you need to be doing as a leader. You're just letting it fester. So they begin to talk and they begin to speculate what you're going to do or not going to do. And it continues to grow and grow and grow. Now, there are some things that good conflict can bring out. Good conflict is when you have those healthy discussions about things that are different. How do we make them better? Sometimes there may be a policy or a procedure that is causing issues in your company, and it's causing conflict amongst teams, amongst individuals, amongst the workers and leadership. And you need to step back and look at that conflict and see what good you can derive from it. That also takes a strong leader, a leader that's willing to listen, a leader that is willing to listen to others' ideas, and then actually put some of those ideas in action. So as we've been talking for the last few minutes about some leadership styles, some leadership tactics, the energy that it takes to be a leader, and conflict and negative conflict and positive conflict, and how you react to those is what truly makes you a leader. So I thank you for listening. I hope that you've listened and watched the other videos. I believe that you will learn a great deal by putting some of these things into practice. And I'll talk to you soon on another video.